Welcome in to another edition of the Hustle Show podcast for a Hustle Short here on this Monday, October 16th, getting set for Monday Night Football. I am Mark Zinno, joined by my partner in crime, Brian Power. Follow him on Twitter /X at @BrianPower_wins. I'm at Mark Zinno. BP, big Monday night contest here between the Chargers and Cowboys, in which we totally expect Southern California to be 80% Cowboys fans tonight for a de facto Cowboys home game when they're, what do you call it? Training. The Oxnard, California is not that far away, so I expect it to be heavily pro-Dallas tonight.
Yeah, the Chargers, no secret. Obviously, no one needed to tune into this to find out the Chargers have probably the worst home field advantage in the sport. However, that doesn't mean that you should fade the Chargers tonight. I know you and I kind of are thinking a little bit along the same lines on multiple fronts in this game.
Yeah. Well, again, we see the spread right now down to 1.5. It was 2.5 earlier in the week, and now we see the Chargers getting 1.5 at home. Total sitting at 50.5, 51 in that range. It's been bought up all week long. I think it opened at 47.5 and shot all the way up, maybe seeing a little buyback here to the under, which I think, makes sense at this point in time. But, the first thing that popped into my head, even when this was at 2.5 and now at 1.5, was to take the Chargers and tease them with something else coming up this week, right? I kind of reserve my Monday night teasers for the week going forward, not to close out the week before. But there's a lot of favorable teaser options out there. I think if you wanted to look ahead and jump on something here, BP, whether it's the Chargers going to 7.5, is it maybe Jacksonville to 7.5 as a possibility? The Falcons up to 8.5, I think, is another great option right there if you wanted to tease them.
The Lions.
The Lions would be another one, a candidate there, as they are now up to 3, I'm seeing. But if you see 2.5s out there, I think there are plenty of good options here. But the Cowboys don't tend to win by margin without some defensive scores helping them out this year. And not only that, the Chargers seem to play every close game known to man. It's always 3 or 4 points with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm co-signing the Chargers as a good teaser piece here. They have the better offense. They're getting Austin Eckler back. Justin Herbert, oh, by the way, 13-6 against the number all time as a dog. And you touched on this as well. Another reason to tease the Chargers is all 4 of their games this season have been decided by 7 points or less. And as you know, most know, that's nothing new. You look back through the last few years, close games have pretty much been the rule, not the exception with the lightning bolts with Herbert. They're never out of a game. But with their defense, no lead is really safe, right? We saw that 2 weeks ago. Of course, we should point out the Chargers are coming off a bye, if it feels like you haven't seen them in a while. They had last week off. But 2 weeks ago, they had the big lead against the Raiders, held on 24-17. So it's all 4 games this year decided by 7 points or less. I agree that the Chargers are a good teaser piece if you already like something ahead on the week 7 slate.
All right, within the game itself here, I don't necessarily get a good feel for the side. I lean on the under. Look, we know the trends with primetime unders, right? We know the trend with divisional non-conference unders. If you just want to take a look at it here, there's a quick trend of a sharp contrast in tickets and money. 48% of the bets are on the under with 60% of the money. So we see some under money coming in. Unders are hitting at 60% this season. We had a Sunday full of unders, 55 and 36 here. Non-conference unders are 17-8, which is 68%. And primetime unders this year, 11-6. That's at 65%. So we might have hit that high watermark at 51 here, BP, and we're starting to see some buyback coming in on the under, which, again, is something that I like. But, no real good feel on the game side or game total, if you have any you want to throw out.
No, I'm going to turn to the prop market a bit, but there were only 2 games that have gone all week in the NFL. It was Jacksonville, Indianapolis. Yeah. So there you go. But let's turn to the prop market, Mark, because last week on the show, I gave out a Jimmy G interception prop that hit. And then how about yesterday? Both you and I jumping on CJ Stroud to throw an interception. He throws his first INT. Texans still won that game, but it's always great to just win something that early in the day, right? I didn't have anything on the London game, but Stroud throws an interception. I can't remember if it was late first quarter, early second quarter. It was early enough, though, where, hey, you're 1-0 before halftime, and that feels good. So, all right, prop. This is the prop I like for tonight. Keenan Allen over 6.5 receptions. That number is available at most shops. You can get minus 136 at FanDuel on over 6.5 receptions. I would not bet it at 7.5, which is where DraftKings has it at, just in case if anyone was wondering. That being said, this play is correlated to the absence of Mike Williams for the Chargers. I know you've got a different way you're looking with Williams' absence, but let me talk about Keenan Allen. 35 catches in 4 games. He's been targeted 44 times. That's even with a low production game against the Raiders 2 weeks ago where he had only 3 catches for 32 yards. I thought that was a byproduct of the Chargers getting out to that early lead and then turtling offensively in the second half. First 3 games, 6 catches or more every time. He had a monster 18-catch game against Minnesota. Not saying he's going to do that here, but I do like Keenan Allen to get at least 7 receptions tonight, Mark, against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm going to look to the prop market as well here, BP, and in a similar fashion. Jordan Palmer has been the guy that has stepped. I'm sorry, Joshua Palmer, not Jordan. Joshua Palmer has been the guy who has stepped up in the absence of Mike Williams when he has been out. Now, the last 2 weeks, Palmer has 15 targets, 7 catches, 143 yards, and a touchdown. So I think he's still a go-to option for Justin Herbert with Mike Williams being out. He logged a season-high 85% snap share in the Chargers' last game, week 4 against the Raiders. Palmer recorded 3 catches there for 77 yards on 8 targets. Cowboys secondary obviously banged up a little bit with the loss of Trevon Diggs. Keenan Allen will get a majority of the focus in the passing game, especially down the field. I think Palmer should be able to take advantage here underneath with some of those shorter routes. So let's go over Joshua Palmer, 46.5 receiving yards here tonight in the matchup between the Cowboys and the Chargers. So that's where we are going with this matchup here, you and I.
My guess is at least one of us is going to be right there, Mark, since we're both targeting Chargers receivers. Those catches have to go somewhere. Maybe we're both right. Maybe Allen gets the catches, you and Palmer gets the yards, and we both go home a winner, which would be a nice end to week 6 for sure.
No, absolutely. It'll certainly be very interesting. And again, make sure you guys use my code Zinno7, by the way, for a 7-day pass. Get all 7 days for just $7 a day. And as well, we are coming off a 6-1 weekend between Saturday and Sunday. So we look to stay hot here on Monday Night Football. Hit me up at sm.buzz/MZ over at SportsMember. Of course, he is WT.buzz at BP or /BP, right? Is that what it is?
Yes,
where
absolutely.
Your page is?
Slash.
All right, let's slash ourselves over here to the Major League Baseball playoffs tonight. As we look, 2 games going on here. The early game between Texas and Houston. Texas wins the first game 1-0. I'm not going to play on that game today, even though I love to play against Framber Valdez, especially Nate Eovaldi on the mound. Feels like Texas, though, as a dog here, is still very, very juicy and appetizing.
Yes, they are. They've done better with runners in scoring position. And game 1 followed the script that basically we've seen every postseason game, save for that Arizona-Milwaukee series, go. A team hits a home run early, they have the lead, they hold on. That's just the way it goes in the 2023 playoffs. It's been that simple. These bullpens have been in total lockdown. I agree with you. I think tonight's pitching matchup does favor Texas, who, oh, by the way, has not lost this postseason. And, anyone who thought, and I erroneously thought it too, they blow the division on the final weekend of the regular season. How are they going to recover from that? Are they going to be crushed? Nope, not crushed at all. They're rolling. I agree. I should have taken him in game 1 because Montgomery at that price was a good value. I was a little scared of going against Verlander. But, I think Texas is the play in the ALCS moving forward. And in the NLCS, though, I actually think the series price is very justified, and the favorite is a favorite for a reason as we turn to that, because that's the evening game. Yeah, I know that we both got some thoughts there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I mean, the battle of the Zacks, right? It's the Zack attack. Zach Gallen, no K. Zach Wheeler with a K. I don't know if that's foreshadowing or not, but maybe it is.
Hey-o.
Gallen has been really good at home this year. He's been spotty on the road at best. But his last 3 starts on the road, including the 2 in the postseason, pitched to a 2.08 ERA and a 1.15 whip. He allowed just 1 home run. He faced the Phillies earlier this year, went 5 2/3 innings, allowing just 2 runs. So, if he can match that or do better here, I think it's interesting. And then you get Wheeler on the flip side of it, who, has had some bomb starts, but for the most part this year has been really, really good. And coming off of what he did to an Atlanta lineup that hit the most home runs in Major League Baseball history this year, what he did to them in the division series was rather impressive. But, You talk about a team, BP, that hasn't lost yet. That's the Diamondbacks. They've won 5 straight. They won 2 against the Brewers and 3 against the Dodgers. And this is a team in a lineup right now that I am surprised to see hitting the ball as well as they do. They batted 284 in the division series against the Dodgers, and they didn't give up more than 3 runs in any single game. So do you worry a little bit here about Wheeler being running into the buzzsaw that is the Arizona Diamondbacks, or is that like not a thing?
Well, look, it's interesting that the Phillies' only loss this postseason was that gem that Wheeler threw against the Braves that you mentioned. Obviously, that was another one that kind of went against the typical script we've seen this postseason. The Phillies had the 4-0 lead and the bullpen blew it. But you mentioned it. Gallen is not as good on the road as he is at home. The numbers bear that out. I haven't been quite as high on him as others have, whereas Wheeler, I think he's fantastic. He's looked great in both of his postseason starts. Let's look at this as a series, Mark. I don't like Arizona's chances of going to the World Series. I just don't. And I guess it boils down to something you briefly touched on, whether or not they can continue hitting home runs. Of the 14 teams that made the postseason this year, the D-backs had the second fewest number of home runs hit in the regular season, ahead of only Milwaukee, ironically their wild card opponent. Now, they did a great job jumping all over the Dodgers starters in the LDS. And so far in the playoffs, the D-backs are tied for the most home runs hit with 13. I would not have expected that at all. So if Wheeler and the rest of the Phillies pitching staff can keep the D-backs in the yard, I really like the Phillies' chances of repeating as National League champions. They're my lean for the series. They're priced about 30 cents cheaper than the Dodgers were against the D-backs. I'm talking series prices. They're now the Dodgers had the better regular season. The Dodgers carry a certain cachet. It's not a surprise, but I don't know. I'm seeing value even on minus 170 on the Phillies to win this series. And if that's too juicy for you, I think here's the real sweet spot to hit. I would play Philly minus 1.5 on the series spread, meaning they need to win in 6 games or less. That's available at plus money right now, plus 118 to be exact at FanDuel. I think a really good price. I think the Phillies probably close the series out in 6 games or less.
Yeah, in this case, I don't think the minus 170 price in this series is too juicy, given the home field advantage that Philly has, which we've seen been demonstrated, and just their ability to, hit the baseball at home so well has shown up all year long. Rob Thompson does give me pause as a manager because he's taken more money out of my wallet this year than I care to divulge. But that said, again, you ever get a sense that sometimes it just feels like the Phillies' year? I think Game 1 will tell us a lot. If Arizona can steal Game 1, I think the series prices will shift wildly.
Yes, absolutely. And, home field advantage obviously has not meant much this postseason, but Citizens Bank Park does feel like the one place where it's tough to come in and win. That's a raucous atmosphere. With the home field advantage, like you mentioned, I think wrapping this series up in 6 games again, plus 118 on the Phillies is a pretty good price. By the way, you mentioned taking money out of your pocket. I would like to say, keeping money in the viewer's pocket. I would like to just point out 7-day pass also available for me. It's a site-wide deal right now over at WagerTalk. Just use the code 7, the number 7, PASS, PASS, and you can get a 7-day pass for just $69. That is all sports, pro and college football, MLB playoffs. And as you are eagerly anticipating, Mark Zinno, soccer returns from the international break this weekend. So we were red hot on the pitch going into the international break, and we're going to have a lot more plays this weekend across all of Europe.
I can tell you all who are watching out there on WagerTalk TV that Brian and I will have often conversations on the phone, and he will tell me about his soccer plays as if I have any idea who he's talking about and who these people are and what they do, other than the fact that I know that they can kick a ball and a goal. So, but it's always nice to know.
That's the key.
Brian is, correct me if I'm wrong, your top soccer handicapper over at WagerTalk, correct?
Win percentage, yes. We're hitting over 70% of our plays. Pavlos, I'm trying to catch up to him in net units. My God, that guy went 3 months without losing a play, I think, and was hitting some big underdog prices. But, he's got more. We stick to the 4 main European leagues, and they are back this weekend. Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A. I know a nice Italian boy like you, Paulo Serie A.
As my old football coach and platoon sergeant said, get your balls ready. It's time to go play. All right, that'll do it for us here on this edition of the Hustle Short. Make sure you check out the entire Hustle Short podcast every Thursday at 7 p.m. Follow the Hustle Show on Twitter at Hustle Show Pod, on Instagram at Hustle Show Pod _. He's at Brian Power _wins. I'm at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Hit that like button, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Make sure you keep updated with all of our content here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We certainly appreciate it. Good luck tonight. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Enjoy the Major League Baseball playoffs. And for those on the pitch, enjoy that as well. For Brian Power, I'm Mark Zinno. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful Monday, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.